Finally, I'm back taking a look at some Windows 11 2-in-1 tablets, and this is from ASUS. It's called the ProArt PZ14, and it's got a backlit keyboard, which is Bluetooth, by the way, too, so you don't have to use it connected to the tablet. Powerful magnets hold it into place. As you can see, a kickstand is, well, it's removable, so you've got this as a separate second piece. And what is powering the ProArt PZ14 is a powerful chip. It's ARM-based Windows 11, and it's using Qualcomm Snapdragon. It's the X2 Elite, and it's got 18 cores, quite a bit of power to it. And it's paired up with 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. There is Wi-Fi 7 on this, and 2 Type-C USB 4 ports for connectivity, and even an SD card slot. That's a full-sized one. The battery's 75 watt hours, and it should last for all day computing. And the best part about it is this screen. So 14 inches, 16 by 10 aspect ratio. It's the ASUS Lumina Pro OLED, up to 144 Hz refresh rate. 500 nits standard, but with HDR content can peak at 1000 nits. And it does support touch and even this, the ASUS Pen 3.0. So this review, I'm going to cover it in detail and let you know why I think if you're in the market for a powerful Windows 11 tablet, this is definitely worth a look, the ProArt PZ14.
Now, ASUS and GoodNotes have teamed up to elevate note-taking experience to the next level. By combining precision hardware with intuitive AI features, users can effortlessly capture ideas, organize notes, and turn them into structured insights. GoodNotes is a powerful note-taking app that helps you capture ideas, organize notes, and manage documents across devices. And as an ASUS laptop, or in this case tablet owner, you can enjoy a 3-month GoodNotes Essential subscription and 30% off first-year subscription, unlocking premium AI features and versatile templates. Now, included with the ProArt PZ14, we get our charger, very nice and small. Maximum output is 68 watts with that. And then the active stylus, which is the ASUS Pen 3.0. Now, the bezels you can see are not the slimmest, but I like them. I think this is a practical approach because if you make them any slimmer, you might accidentally touch the screen. So 8 megapixel camera right here, and flipping it over and just taking a look at the other side. This is where we have the kickstand for it. So this is magnetic, just fits onto the back of it. It's held on really strong, and you've got the ProArt on there and a 13 megapixel camera. This is the area for that ASUS Pen 3.0, so it charges there wirelessly. I just put this back on, so the magnets are very, very strong. And here we have, that's part of the fan intake. In fact, there's a little filter there on the top, but that magnet really, really strong, going to hold it, will not come off. And there's even this bit on the side here, so we can prop it up in portrait and not always just use it in landscape. So keyboard, very good. It's backlit, really nice travel on those keys. And of course, it's sitting 100% flat, so there's no flex at all with it. So the total weight, we are looking at 1.53 kilos that's the kickstand and having the keyboard connected to it. So that's everything. The tablet itself, that is only 790 grams, so very good weight. The keyboard, it is a backlit keyboard too. My only complaint with this keyboard is the fact that you can't, like with other tablets, you can't prop it up like that and have it just magnetically clip on and give us a bit of a raised angle there for ergonomics. Nevertheless, typing on it is very good. I like it, and very good backlit keyboard too at that. The lighting is great, and you're not getting all this bleed under the keys. Nice and bright, and you can go along and adjust there the different brightness levels. So that is it now topped out. I'll just turn that light off on its maximum setting. So as you can see, well illuminated. Now the thickness of the tablet is 90 millimeters. This is a intake here for the fan, so it is actively cooled for that Snapdragon X2 Elite. There's a filter in there, dust filter in there, which is good. This is our power button. Loudspeaker, exit vent, and this is a volume up and down. Full-size SD card reader. Now, it is the Express 7.0 spec, so it is very fast. Now, you just press down on here, and one side kind of pops up, and there we go. You can get it off then. A little tricky to do, and you slot in then the full-size cards. So I really like that. Then we've got the two Type-C ports, USB 4.0, and no Type-A, unfortunately. Now, both of these support 40 gigabits per second speeds, and video out and power delivery, which is great, and the other loudspeaker. And speaking of those speakers, let's have a listen to them, how they sound. They're not bad for a tablet. They're decent. They're not the loudest out there, though. So fantastic OLED screen in it. It's ASUS's Lumina Pro OLED. So touchscreen 3K resolution with it. And just looking at a very quick demo here, just to demonstrate those blacks because they are exceptional on it. Touch accuracy has been really good. So up to 500 nits is the typical brightness, but in HDR mode, it will peak at 1000. So we've got 100% of DCI-P3 color gamut. And that resolution is 2880 by 1800. So it is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. And I find that the touch response and everything on this, excellent. Accuracy, really good. It is a fantastic top tier panel that they've used in this 14-inch Windows 11 tablet. This unit does ship out with Windows 11 Pro, and I wouldn't expect anything less than this because, after all, it's an expensive Windows 11 tablet. And the RAM speeds, they are impressive. So you just bring those up now. You can see we're almost at 96,000 megatransfers. So the Snapdragon X2 Elite, big step up over the previous X Elite that I have covered before. We've got boost single core up to 4.7 and multi-cores will go up to 4 gigahertz and there's 18 cores in total. So the performance reflected in the synthetic benchmarks here is excellent for such a thin and light tablet. So single core score over 3600 there, very, very good. Multi-core almost hitting 17,000. That is impressive. This is, of course, ARM. So we're looking at ARM here, Windows ARM. And then the graphics performance, big step up. This compared to the previous generation again. So the Adreno X2-90, graphics score there of over 3,200. And with that's times by then Wildlife Extreme, you can run these benchmarks on your own devices. We're getting then over 8,600. So excellent performance there. One last benchmark synthetic one to show you. And that is Cinebench. Again, an impressive result here, I think, for such a thin device. And that is multi-core score there over 4,500 points and just over 600 with our single core performance. Finally, that SSD. Yes, of course, I have benchmarked that. And it is PCIe 4.0, 1 terabyte. And this, I believe, is the only configuration you can get. It's just the 1 terabyte. You can't open this anyway to upgrade it. So that's all we've got. And those speeds are decent. They're good for PCIe 4.0. The included software we get is very handy. It's not bloatware. So we have Muse Tree, there's also StoryCube, and right now this is ASUS. So this is our central hub here for the updates for the system. So it's just one point that you need to go into here. You run this now and then. It is automatic too if you remember to at least load it up now and then. And you can get the updates, system diagnostics, and the device settings. So the battery care, so you can limit the battery to not fully charge for longevity of these batteries. It's highly recommended to enable this. The operating modes. So we do have here the whisper mode, which is very good if you don't want to hear that fan noise at all. And performance mode can only be enabled when plugged in. So do remember that. So if you need the absolute maximum performance, you will have to carry around the little AC adapter. Otherwise, you'll be in standard mode. Now, all the benchmarks I've shown you, they're all in performance mode, of course. We have some settings there for the microphone. And one of my favorites is the OLED Care. So here, it's highly recommended, of course. Again, to have this is by default anyway enabled. Pixel refresh. and automatically hide the Windows taskbar in desktop mode. Another good one to have. So there's a lot of stuff in here, including Glide X. Now, these are the apps I've covered in previous videos of products from ASUS that have been featured in the channel. I'm impressed with the performance of this. This is one of the fastest, if not the fastest tablet that I have covered recently in the channel. And it's not just for documents, spreadsheets, and basic things. So right now, video editing, this is 4K with Adobe Premiere Pro, the latest version. The timeline is very fast. Now, this is just 4K, and yes, the preview's only at a quarter here. That's all that's really required for me, at least. And there's no flashy edits or anything going on, no transitions. But it is really good. You can see the timeline as I'm just tapping the screen here and just jumping ahead. There is no slowdown on this. And when I do check the playback too, the playback has been absolutely fine, that it is not dropping any frames. And it shouldn't, not with the kind of performance it does have from not only the CPU cores, but even the Adreno GPU there too. Now, when you go to encode your videos, note that we still don't, and not with Windows ARM and Adobe at the moment, even 2026, halfway through the year, still software. So it does say software encoding, no hardware encoding. And what does this mean? Well, if it did support hardware encoding, then it would be a lot faster to encode. Now, with Intel's chipsets and AMD's, we get the hardware encoding, and with Intel, it uses QuickSync, so it can be really quick. So I've got a minute of footage, 1 minute of footage only, and this is my standard test here I do. Now, Lunar Lake and Panther Lake chips can do the same thing in around 24, 23 seconds, 1 minute of footage. How long is the Snapdragon X2 Elite going to take? Well, let's find out here. It is going and steaming ahead very quick there, but I'll make sure I stop this. Once this bar disappears completely, I'll show you that end result. All right, it's about to finish up. We've got a second left, but as soon as that progress bar completely disappears, so approximately 45 seconds factoring in my delay there. And that reason is what I pointed out before. It's because we only have software encoding here and not hardware, unfortunately. But I hope that's coming soon in the future from Adobe. So we know this is not a gaming laptop, of course, gaming tablet, no. But if you wanted to do a little bit of gaming, yes, it's possible. Now, this is at 800p only, The Last of Us Part 1 remastered. And it's playable. You can see frame rates just scraping over 30, and it gets up to about 45 to around the maximum I have seen. So it's all right. But if you can put up with having frame rates about 30, then some of the newer games, yes, they will just be able to run on our ProArt PZ14. You just need to lower those visuals. Of course, the biggest one is lower the resolution. Yes, you can install Steam. Got it running here. Now, not every single game in my library will work. And the ones that don't, well, I still have the option to stream them from another PC if I happen to be close by, that is. But GTA 5, I will quickly test that one to see how it runs on the Snapdragon X2 Elite. Runs well with a respectable frame rate of over 60 frames per second, which is really good to see. Now, I have it set to 1080p here at the moment, and this is on the high preset. So I have the option that I could just go along, of course, lower the visuals, but this is good. We're going to get over and around 60 frames per second, making the game quite playable and still looking visually good on the high settings. So temperatures, looking at HW info, I can see that one of the places here, it gets up to 96 degrees, well, 95 there, and there's another one here, the TZ99 at 96. I can confirm in the performance mode when you game and you push it really hard that the tablet does get quite a bit hot. You can feel the metal frame at the top, and to touch it, it's around about 48 or so degrees. So it's getting warm, it's getting hot to the touch. And you do hear the fan in the performance mode. But if you put it in the standard mode or the whisper mode, you barely hear the fan. And when you're just doing normal kind of stuff, you don't normally hear the fan. It's really just when you game or push it really hard, are you going to be able to hear that fan and the fan noise.
Okay, so fantastic 3K Illumina Pro OLED screen, 144 hertz refresh rate, everything's fast, smooth, and fluid. The Snapdragon X2 Elite has plenty of power, as you saw, video editing, a little bit of gaming. So similar GPU performance to that of what we got from Intel's Arc with the Lunar Lake. Not the latest Panther Lake, but the previous generation. But it's a big step up from what we used to have from Qualcomm with earlier Snapdragon Elite chips, or the X Elite that I did cover last year. Battery life is really good. One of the big strengths of this, that this will last, as I said, for around about 10, 11 hours of standard use. And that means for most people, it is truly all-day computing. Now, if it's just video playback, which is not really a realistic way to measure battery life, I think, on these devices, it will go for something like 30 hours, which is crazy. So keyboard, very good to type on. Backlit, great touchpad. Build quality overall is very good. And the ASUS Pen 3.0 with the 4096 pressure sensitive levels, also an excellent stylus. That brings me to the things I don't like about it. Now, the obvious one that's a standout thing straight away is the pricing nowadays of tech because of, well, the components being more expensive. This here in Spain, where I happen to live, is around about 25 or 2,400 euros for this exact configuration. What you're looking at here, wow. It is a pricey, expensive Windows tablet. But yes, there's not many out there that would have this kind of spec and power. And so it's a kind of a niche product, I think, for some people that would require this and need the stylus and want to be able to separate it and use it as a two-in-one, of course. The other is that there's no full-size Type A port on this. I know we have to use dongles or adapters, and I would have loved to have seen just one full-size Type A. Would have been nice. Great to have the full-size SD card there. Don't get me wrong on that. And the other is that the fan, if you're pushing it really hard, you're doing demanding work like video editing or gaming or 3D editing or something, you are going to hear the fan noise on this. It just sounds more like an Ultrabook. It's not offensive from a sample I gave you, but for those that are sensitive to fan noise, you are going to hear this. And yes, the top of it can get a little bit warm, as I did discover when, again, you're pushing it hard. So thank you so much for watching this review here of the ASUS ProArt PZ14 2-in-1 Windows 11 tablet.